Here.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Here.
Joe Gillis, Todd Rulison, Dave Demore. We have a quorum, okay? Let's start with the minutes from the March 9th meeting. Everyone received a copy of them. Are there any questions or comments on those minutes?
I make a motion to accept them.
Joe makes a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second,
Kelly?
Jim.
Roll call vote to accept the minutes. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly,
Aye.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis. Okay. Moving on to the budget report, which was attached to your agenda. On the revenue side, we received the annual administrative fee from CG Roxanne. Okay, on the expenditure side, there was regular salaries, disability insurance. There was a progress payment made to Weston Company for their work on the audit. And then there were expenses out at Trion for both for electricity and a payment to Emory Designs for ongoing work with the IDA website. All pretty basic, straightforward expenditures and this past month. Are there any questions on that report?
No.
If there are none, would someone make a motion to accept?
Make that motion, Jim.
Mike, is there a second? Jane? Roll call vote to accept the budget report. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis. All righty. Committee reports, audit monthly bank reconciliation. Mike, you took a look at those and what'd you find?
Yes, I looked at them yesterday. Everything was in order and they reconciled. And I returned the signed documents back to Carol.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. To other reports, start with Fulton County report. I would like to welcome Warren Green to the IDA board meetings. Warren volunteered within quotes
Yes, go.
to serve as the Economic Development and Environment Committee's liaison to the IDA board for this year. Welcome, Warren. Anything to report from the county's perspective?
No, not really. The county's moving along, obviously. I think the main thing that I worked on last year as chairman and what's been going on a lot this year too is trying to overcome the coronavirus. That's a huge thing, and hopefully we'll have that under control by the summer, I would hope. And hopefully then economic activity will start to bubble up. At least that's our hope. It's tough because with the variants and what's going to happen there, and probably some hesitancy on the part of some people to get the vaccine. We're kind of working through all that, but hopefully once a majority of the people of Fulton County get a vaccine and or have already had the virus and have an immunity as a result, I think things will start to open up more.
I know I can't wait.
Yeah, me too.
So, thanks, Warren. The CRG report, Greg Fagan hasn't checked in. So the CRG's report is attached to your agenda. Please review that, and we'll move on. Let's go on to old business. The Nexus Renewable, our project, solar project out adjacent to Trion. Because the nature and the description of this project has changed from what was originally submitted, it was felt that, in talking with Kara, that the resolution that the board adopted last fall to approve this project, that we should redo this resolution because of the changes in the project. And the change, some of the key changes were the size of the project. got reduced. The interconnection route, how that, where from the route that the wires that are going to be run from the solar projects to National Grid's system changed. Because the project was reduced in size, the project cost was also reduced. The schedule has changed, and a few other things have changed. And so what we did was we asked Nexus to resubmit its project application and include into that revised application all of the updated components of the project description. That revised application has been received. And based upon all that, Kara has drafted a new resolution. It does the same thing as the resolution that you approved last August, right? It just now contains the revised descriptions of the project so that we ensure that we have on the record that we've taken action to approve the project as it's actually now being described. So Kara, is there anything to add to that as background?
I don't think so. This is just a full replacement of the resolution that was previously adopted for clarification purposes, just to so that when the final project documents are completed and posted to the website, that it kind of all makes sense as to what we approved.
Okay. The resolution was attached to the agenda. And again, it is taking the same actions that were taken back in August of 2020. Are there any questions on this proposed resolution? Hearing none, would someone make a motion to adopt the resolution as presented?
I make that motion.
Joe,
Yes.
is there a second to that motion? Joe Gillis? Are there any further questions or comments on the proposed resolution? Hearing none, let's do a roll call vote. Joe Gillis? Mike Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Jane Kelly?
Aye.
And Joe Semio?
Aye.
Very good. The motion is passed. The second item is asking for authorization to sign an easement agreement. This easement agreement would be granting an easement to the 4 solar companies that'll be operating the 4 individual little solar projects to run their wires from those projects to the interconnection point into National Grid's power system out there. This is where, as we talked about at the last meeting, this will come out down between the pond and the wastewater treatment plant or pump station, and then go up the hill. It's in the area where there's already existing power poles. So you're not going to be adding a new look to the site, and it's way off the road and will probably barely be seen. So looking for authorization to sign this easement. The easement will be 40 feet wide, and it will provide a place for these wires and poles to be located within.
Question, Burial's all set, you had said before,
Yes.
they're in agreement, right? Good.
The path, they are working that out and have worked that out directly with these 4 companies.
Oh,
This
great.
easement applies just to where it'll be crossing IDA land.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
I make that motion then to accept it.
Joe
All 4 of
Semino,
them.
is there a second to that motion? Joe Gillis, thank you, Joe. Any further discussion? I see David has returned. Can we get him connected in?
I'm here.
He's back.
Morning, Dave.
Morning.
Okay, we are on page 4 of the agenda. There's a motion to authorize the chairman to execute an easement agreement for the solar project. Motion was made by Joe Semio, seconded by Joe Gillis. And we are about ready to take a roll call vote. Okay. Um, Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis, Dave Demore.
Aye.
Okay, I see Greg Fagan has made his way onto the screen here for today. Greg, welcome. Is there anything you'd like to report from the CRG's standpoint? Everybody
Good morning.
has.
Sorry I was late, experiencing a little technical difficulty out here for some reason this morning. It always seems to do this when I got a Zoom. We've got an ongoing training program that's been running very well. We've had between 15 and 20 participants in the last 2 sessions, which is doing very well. We've been working hard to try along with you guys with trying to market some properties at Trion. It's nice to see interest out there. We did get a letter from Dan Calkins, who is the chairman and CEO of Benjamin Moore, basically expressing his gratitude and thanks for what CRG did. And I think it didn't mention IDA by name, but it did mention financial incentives. So you guys are part of that package. So very appreciative of what we were able to accomplish to help them do their expansion here in Johnstown instead of somewhere else in the Northeast. A great asset to our community. And I think it's a good sign of what not only CRG is doing, but also the IDA is doing here recently too. So I'm hoping to keep that working relationship going. I know, Joe, did you decide to take that position on our micro enterprise grant loan?
Already did. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We
Already
thought that
gave
would
Lisa
be,
money.
we felt you would be a good addition to that board and keeping the IDA in that loop as well. So unless anybody else had any other questions, because I believe you all have a copy of this, correct?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
If there were any other questions, I'd take them. Otherwise, I will let you guys get on with your meeting.
Any questions for Greg? Very good. Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
Okay, back to the agenda under new business. Asking for authorization for the chairman to execute the annual agreement with R&R Farms to lease lands at Trion for them to grow crops on. This has been a number of years that we've done this, and they have again requested the opportunity to do that. So are there any questions or on this issue, on this request? Hearing none, would someone be willing to make a motion to authorize the chairman to execute that agreement?
I'll make that motion.
Dave Moore? Is there a second to that motion? Joe
I second.
Semio? Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, let's do a roll call vote to approve the chairman, authorize the chairman to execute this agreement. Joe Semio?
Aye.
Jane Kelly?
Aye.
Mike Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Joe Gillis? Todd Rulison? I'm not Todd, I'm Dave Demore.
Aye.
Sorry, Todd. Okay, next item on the agenda is our annual lawn mowing quotes. We sent out 4 RFQs. Quotes came back last week, and the lowest quote came from Evergreen Landscaping for a total of $6,328 to perform the mowing that was requested in the RFQ. Any questions on those quotes?
Are we planning on using the 3 alternative ones or just leaving that in there? Alternate ones?
I wasn't planning on it, no.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Would someone be willing to make a motion to authorize the chairman to execute an agreement with Evergreen Landscaping for mowing this year at Trion?
I'll make the motion, Jim.
Jane Kelly, thank you, Jane. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Dave Demore, thank you, Dave. Let's do a roll call vote. Joe Semio,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis, Dave Demore.
Aye.
Okay. Next item, lot sale fees. We talked about this at your last meeting briefly, but Cushman Wakefield, as you know, recommended when they were retained by the IDA last year to increase the lot sale fees in the Trion Technology Park to $27,500. The IDA board agreed with that recommendation and adjusted those fees for that particular park. And because that park, the fees were increased, recommending that the fees in the Johnstown and Crossroads Industrial Park, which are currently at $20,000 an acre, be increased to $25,000 per acre to try to keep them more in line and consistent with what the asking price is for lands in the Trion Technology Park. So that's what's being proposed. Discussion, comments.
Jim, why is there a difference at the Crossroads Business Park for lands bordering South Kingsborough Ave?
It was felt years ago, Dave, that when Walmart came in, all right, adjacent to the park, that there would hopefully be a increase in demand for lands along that bordered South Kingsborough Ave extension for potential retail, commercial businesses that typically follow a Walmart. And so it was the IDA board back then felt that in the Crossroads Business Park, those lands that bordered, that had access right off of South Kingsborough Avenue should be valued a little bit more than the lands off the street.
Okay.
That was the basis. Okay. Hearing none, would someone be willing to make a motion to increase the lot sale price fees in those two parks from $20,000 to $25,000?
I'll make the motion.
Dave DeMore? Is there a second?
I second.
Joe Semio. All right, let's do a roll call vote to increase the lot sale prices in those two parks to $25,000. Dave DeMore,
Aye.
Joe Gillis, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Jane Kelly,
Aye.
and Joe Semio.
Aye.
Okay. Just wanted to report to everyone that the required reports were successfully entered into Paris a couple of weeks ago. That includes our certified financial audit, our investment report, procurement report, and annual report. I emailed you all a copy of that just so you could see the level of detail that we have to submit each year for those. And just to, so just to let you know that we have completed that work, and those all have been accepted. As typically happens, we received some comments back from the controller's office. They had a couple of follow-up questions. It's good that we see those because it shows that they are actually reviewing our reports. We have responded to those comments, and those comments have been addressed successfully. So, does anyone have any comments on what that Paris report and the details and that you saw?
Just a quick question. I mean, what sort of questions were they looking for a slight change, or is it just wording they wanted, or more
No,
information?
actually, they looked at the figures from the previous year to the current year for one of the projects and wanted to know why there was a difference in numbers. And
Okay.
so we explained that to them. They had a couple of other questions, nothing significant, that we just provided simple answers to, and they accepted them all and said, thank you very much. Appreciate the feedback. So,
No, as you said, it's good that someone is actually looking instead of just them being set and put on some
correct.
file cabinet, you know?
So,
Good.
all righty. Moving on. Again, the next item, just a FYI, the Fulton County Site Inventory and Assessment Project, the Mohawk Valley Economic Development District and the CRG have secured funding to undertake a site inventory and assessment project here in the county. The MVED has received a couple of proposals. They and the CRG are currently reviewing those, and hopefully they will be selecting a firm to start this work. And they're hoping to have this work done later this summer. And the intent is to try and find potential sites, development sites here in Fulton County, and looking forward to having an opportunity to work with those two groups with that project. So I'll keep you updated as that study and that work progresses. But any questions or comments on this item? Very
Maybe a
good.
quick question for Greg. Do you know the two proposals, have they come in now and they're just deciding on them? Is that what's happening?
At our last meeting, I don't think we had them back yet. I
Okay.
think they're in process.
Okay, very good.
But from what Ron said, it should be an excellent product when we get done.
Good. No, we thank you for your help. That's great.
Okay, board training. There's again a lot of information in here. I just wanted to go back for the sake of some of our newer members and trace a little bit of the history of our county economic development program. We go way back to the mid '80s. Economic development was very decentralized here in Fulton County. In the mid '80s, the Board of Supervisors decided to make a change. They contracted with, back then, the Community Development Corporation, which changed its name to the Economic Development Corporation, and centralized all economic development activities into that organization. It stayed that way until about 10 years ago, when the CRG was created to replace the EDC and also the CIC. The CRG, remains the central point of economic development here today in Fulton County. Obviously, the IDA is a part of the economic development program, but the Board of Supervisors contracts now with the CRG to provide majority of the economic development services that are provided here in Fulton County. More information is in the agenda for you to review. But just that was a quick background on where we've been. But like I said, today, the county is kind of the Board of Supervisors is the umbrella entity and oversees most of the economic development activities in the county today. The CRG is the central point. The county contracts with the CRG to provide a host of economic development services here in the county. The IDA is a key part. What does the IDA do? We provide shovel-ready sites, provide financial incentives, and we sell land to prospective companies. That's an important tool. We own most of the land, and as such, we have a say in who goes onto your land. Because if a company comes in and wants to come into this county, but for whatever reasons, the IDA doesn't like that company or doesn't want that company here, you simply say no. You don't have to sell them the land. So that's an important role that the IDA plays here. And in the Chamber of Commerce is also an integral part of economic development through their business promotion and tourism promotion here in the county. So those are the kind of the four main entities that are part of today's economic development program here in Fulton County. Our mission statement, which is listed on the bottom of page 9 of your agenda, is what is supposed to be our guiding light in terms of everything that we do as an agency. And I think that is something that we should be constantly looking at to make sure we stay focused on what our mission statement is. Moving on, the IDA has a long history of developing shovel-ready sites. There are 4 parks in Fulton County: Crossroads Industrial Park, Johnstown Industrial Park, Crossroads Business Park, Trion Technology Park. The IDA has had a direct role in the development of all of those parks. How the land for those parks was acquired is important, and it's all listed there in your agenda, because how the land was acquired directly relates to how revenues that are generated from lot sales are distributed. For example, the Crossroads Industrial Park. The IDA bought the land for that park way back when. As a result, when the IDA sells land in that park, all the revenue comes directly to the IDA. Conversely, the Johnstown Industrial Park, the city of Johnstown bought the land for that park. Well, what the city of Johnstown did back then was it deeded the land over to the IDA to go market and sell. But when it did that, the IDA and the city entered into an agreement that said whenever lots or land is sold in the Johnstown Industrial Park, for every dollar of revenue that's generated, the IDA can keep 7 cents, 7% as an administrative fee. The other 93 cents goes back to the city. Okay, so again, it varies from park to park how revenues from lot sales are distributed. And the rest of the agenda also provides some more information about the parks and how many acres we own and things of that nature. And I'm going to leave that for all of you to review on your own. Okay. Is
Yeah.
there?
As a follow-up to that discussion, over a year ago, before everything got locked down, we were in the process of planning a meeting between the CRG, IDA, the county, and the chamber, so that we can streamline the process for when folks call here looking for a site or looking to move a business here. I know there's been some discussion about getting that meeting going again. Have you heard anything? I haven't lately as to if we're close to that, because it's something we really need to do. I know we've made a lot of progress in the past couple of years in all of us working together and kind of pulling in the same direction. Whereas in the past, I think we were kind of scattered a little bit. But do you have anything on that?
I spoke with John recently about that, Greg. It's on the radar screen. I just think once there's a better comfort level of getting people together in an in-person meeting,
Right.
That will happen. So it's probably still a couple of months off, going back to what Warren was talking about earlier. Once we get higher degrees of vaccination and there's a more comfort level for having in-person meetings, that will happen. So it's there, it's on the radar screen. We all want it to happen. We just, when the time is right, it will.
Good.
Yeah,
Very
Jim,
good.
Jim,
Yes,
if I
sir.
could follow up on that, I was actually the person who was pushing that when I took over as chairman last year.
You
And,
were.
John and I had sat down and come up with a whole agenda, and we were ready to move on it. And then unfortunately all hell broke loose, but yeah.
Well, then you
Yeah,
put
March
the
1st got here,
I'm
right?
sure that's still there. I mean, I'm sure the outline is there and everything's ready to go as soon as everybody can meet in person.
Okay, is there any other discussion for today for an open session?
Jim, just a question on looking at the breakdown here. If
Yep.
there was a major opportunity, are these sites big enough or I know we're constantly looking for additional lands that could suit a home run candidate. Do we need to identify a larger site if something like that would be an opportunity?
Listen,
Yeah.
it's always good to have a bigger inventory of shovel-ready sites than a smaller inventory, right? One of the strengths of our economic development program over the years is that we've had a strong inventory. That's part of the reason the Johnstown Industrial Park was so successful, was that we had the ability to provide a site for a 20,000 square foot building up to a 1.2 million square foot distribution center for Walmart. So the Trion Technology Park, Mike, has the ability to provide a 100-acre site. All right, it could also provide a 5-acre site. So there is flexibility with, out there with the amount of land that's there, but that's the only place that we have where if somebody, a large company was looking for a large site, right now that's the only one. So trying to find others is something that I think would be in everybody's best interest, so we had some options to be able to offer a potential company that's looking for a large site. So we have that ability now. All right, but it's always nice to have options to present to companies. For example, if a company wants to come here, but they don't like the Trion site for whatever the case may be, then we're not going to be able to accommodate that. So part of what, hopefully the MVED CRG site assessment, will come up with is some other options for large sites.
I think one of the criteria that that study is actually going to look at is try to find one 500-acre site as well. That's one of the things that was identified in their RFP. So that'll be interesting.
I just personally think the drawback on Trion is if you've got a large company that's got a lot of traffic, the
Correct.
ability for 107 to handle that.
Correct. So hopefully we can find something like that that has access to utilities, has access to good transportation network, has access to gas and electric, but they're coming harder. They are harder and harder to find these days. Okay. All righty. Would like to request a motion to go into executive session to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or the proposed acquisition of securities or sale or exchange of securities held by such public body. Is someone willing to make that motion?
So
Yep, I
moved.
will.
Whoa.
All of us.
Jay Kelly, Dave Demore. Let's do a roll call vote on that motion. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly,
Aye.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis, Dave Demore.
Aye.
Hey, we are going into executive session. Warren and Greg, thank you for participating.
I was just gonna ask if you wanted us
I
to
was just
leave.
gonna ask that.
Yes, in session. All right, we'd like to discuss the proposed sale of Building 60 at the Trion Technology Park. As you know, the IDA owns this building. It's been listed for sale by Cushman Wakefield. It says an appraised value of about $110,000. It's been vacant since 2011, and it needs a significant amount of work in order to be put back into service. The IDA has received a purchase offer from Lot Holdings of Amsterdam, New York, in the amount of $75,000. Lot Holdings says it will use the property for commercial, industrial, and office uses. And so to pursue this proposed sale, Lot Holdings is advised that they would be using Carol Leas to represent them in this transaction. And since Carol represents the IDA, both Lot Holdings and the IDA board need to consent to having Carol represent both parties. And so a waiver of conflict letter would need to be executed. So I'm asking for a motion to authorize the chairman to execute a waiver of conflict letter. Someone willing to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Dave Demore, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Kelly, let's do a roll call vote. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis.
Aye.
Dave Demore.
Aye.
With respect to the IDA's policy and the public authorities law, since this proposed sale will be for an amount less than fair market value, written notification must be submitted to the state, advising them of such and explaining the basis for doing so. So I'm asking for a motion to authorize IDA counsel to send the written notification to state representatives regarding the proposed sale of Building 60. Someone be
Make that
willing to
motion.
Mike and Joe.
Mhm.
Joe Semyon, let's do a roll call vote to authorize council to send this letter. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly.
Aye.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis. Aye. Dave Demore.
Aye.
We have to do seeker review on this proposed sale. We've completed Part 2 EAF, which is attached to your agenda. What the Part 2 showed is that this project, this proposed sale, would not have any moderate to large impacts that would necessitate having to prepare a draft environmental impact statement. And so the board now has to make a determination of significance, which would be to issue a positive declaration or a negative declaration. And it's recommended that a motion be proposed to designate the IDA as seeker lead agency and to issue a negative declaration based upon the information contained in the Part 1 and Part 2 EAFs. Is someone willing to make that motion
I'll
to?
make that motion.
Dave Demore. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Jane Kelly, thank you, Jane. Roll call vote, Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis. Dave Demore.
Aye.
Next is to approve a resolution to authorize the sale of this real property and to identify the reasons why we're selling it for less than fair market value. And it's because of the fact that the building needs a new electric service, a new water service, a new heating system, and miscellaneous other work that's going to require substantial investments on the part of the purchaser to allow this building to be put back into use. So the asking for authorization to approve the resolution that was attached, that is attached, titled Resolution of the Fulton County Industrial Development Agency approving and authorizing the sale of real property. Would someone be willing to make that motion to approve this sale?
Make that motion.
Joe Semyon, is there a second to this motion? Mike
I'll second.
Fitzgerald, thank you, Mike. Roll call vote, Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis. Dave Demore.
Aye.
Lastly, last year, the IDA board agreed to distribute revenues from sales as follows. Cushman Wakefield getting 7%, Fulton County 6, CRG 6. Given this lot sale price, the following payments would be made per that agreement. Cushman Wakefield will get $5,250, Fulton County 4,500, CRG would get 4,500. Is someone willing to make a motion to authorize those payments to be made if and when this gets to closing? Dave Demore, is there a second to that motion?
Aye.
Joe Semyon?
Yeah.
Roll call vote. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis. Dave Demore.
Aye.
Very good. That is all I have for that item. Next meeting will be Tuesday, May 11. We'll notify everybody whether about that meeting. Looking for now a motion to close today's meeting.
Make that motion, everyone.
Jane and Joe. Do a roll call vote to close the meeting. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis. Dave Demore.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 9:18 a.m. Mr. Semyon,